Moving on, we now move on to the Dr. Thomas Chandi oration. May I now please invite the chairpersons, Dr. Radhamani, Dr. K. Jayakrishnan and Dr. Balsama Chaku to the dais, please. It's our privilege to have Dr. Shailesh Puttempekar, Medical Director at Galaxy Care Hospital, Pune, and a renowned laparoscopic and robotic oncosurgeon as the orator today. He will be speaking on role of MIS in gynecological oncology after the LAC trial. May I please invite Dr. Shailesh to the stage, please. May I please request Dr. Jayakrishnan to kindly present the oration medal to the speaker. Over to you, Doctor.
Good morning, everybody. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Jayakrishna for inviting me to this wonderful conference. This is my third time to this. And the topic that he has given me is something which is very, very close to my heart. That is role of minimally invasive surgery in oncology after the LAC trial. So greetings from Pune. The question is, does the history matter? We all know radical hysterectomy was first done by Wardheims, and later on it went up to MIGS, and later on to laparoscopy. We did the first laparoscopic radical hysterectomy of our country way back in 2003. It was a true evolution to gynae oncology. The MIS, Wardheims and MIGS would be proud that operability rate was 90 to 99% and the 5-year survival was 87 to 96% for stage 1 and up to 2A cancers. Surgeons were happily operating with minimally invasive surgery cancer cervix till 31st October 2018 when the LAC trial came. This came in the New England Journal of Medicine and the chief author was Pedro Ramirez, a close friend of mine. It is very important to understand that the standard care was there, and from LAC trial 2018, it was an end and death knell to laparoscopy as the main culprit, and open radical hysterectomy suddenly became the standard procedure, indicating that the survival was much better with radical hysterectomy. The background of this entire trial was a LAP2 trial, which was conducted, and the LACE trial in Australia, which conclusively proved that the role of laparoscopy in endometrial cancer is completely good, and laparoscopy should be safe, beneficial, and the survival outcomes were as good as that of open surgery, putting an end to the debate that open surgery should be done for endometrial cancer. And that is the reason in 2000, when the wave of laparoscopic surgery was there and it was booming, the intent behind the trial was very good to prove that laparoscopy is as good in cancer cervix. So this was the data. You can see it was with minimal invasive surgery with open surgery. Since then, 631 patients were accrued. Prospective capture of adverse data of robust trial design, multi-central and international, and absolutely it was, the findings were absolutely good. It was a level 1 evidence if it all has to prove. But the problem was not laparoscopy, but the violation of oncological principles, which is what was not really understood. When you do an endometrial cancer, you just do a plain hysterectomy. When you do a radical hysterectomy for cancer cervix, it's a completely different system. So Pedro Ramirez, you can see, is the man who comes from MD Anderson. And I always thought the exercise that he was there in jumping to conclusions. So conclusions were written before, and therefore it was very important. There are multiple things to criticize the trial, the learning trial, and as we go through this, I will keep on telling you. The biggest disadvantage of the LAC trial was that compared to a matured operation, which is an open surgery considered as an old and gold standard, we were certainly comparing a minimal invasive surgery with a learning curve bias. Unfortunately, the centers that were included were all low volume centers. And that is, what do you mean by low volume centers? That they were doing not more than 6 to 7 radical hysterectomies per year. You can be the best surgeon in the world, but you can see that majority of that you would not there. So these are the countries which are included. If you look at the map, not a single country from Asia Pacific, not a single country from Africa. Where is the problem of cancer cervix? The cancer cervix problem is in India, is in Asia, it is in Latin America. Unfortunately, only one patient from India was accrued, while rest were not there. So total 631 patients, 33 centers, and you can see 14 centers of which had multiple recurrences. And this is the quality of the centers which was very, very important. If you are going to do in 10 years, just because every center accrued more than 50 patients only, and when you accrue 50 patients in 10 years, it is 5 patients per year, and therefore the recurrences which were seen were really the site of first recurrence was vault and also the pelvis. Now this is something which we had never seen in open surgery. This is something that we had never seen in laparoscopic surgery. And suddenly we had a trial which showed increase in the loco-regional recurrence. And the higher rate of vault recurrence was also seen in open surgery, but it was less. And how less was it? If there were 33 vault recurrences in laparoscopy, there were 10 vault recurrences after open surgery. But unfortunately, statistically it was higher. So you can see 34 recurrences came from 14 of the 33 centers. So out of the 33 centers, and in 19 centers, they were like the centers of God, no recurrences, something which was not correct. So 19 centers had the best surgeons, while 14 centers had poor surgeons, and they were all conglomerated together. Lack of standardization, no involvement, how much was parametrium taken out, whether the vaginal cuff length, how much was it, no documentation, completely disturbing. Post-operative complication, you can see that the perioperative, they had 9 mortalities during this. Which of the patients in India have succumbed to a radical hysterectomy, I don't know, but this is what was there. So there were many questions which were not answered. How many surgeons per center? How many patients were distributed? How come there were only recurrences? And the most important thing, all the videos which were sent by the centers were analyzed by the primary author. In spite of continuously writing, and I was one of the first one to debate Pedro Ramirez in Switzerland, and none of the data was given, and this is most important thing. So again, if you have questions, they were flagged off. What was the surgical technique used? Was it the same all worldwide? What were the energy sources? And what was the classification used? Because the classification of radical hysterectomy changed from 2010 to 2018. Now we no longer use the Peever's classification. We use the Dennis-Curlo classification. So the classification also changed. 19 deaths in MIS, which is very, very unfortunate. Minimal invasive surgery leading to deaths. This was the message which was given. Are you really serious? And the numbers, 19, while only 3 with total abdominal radical hysterectomy. Now, if you look at statistical data, the primary outcomes, that is the disease-free survival at 4.5 years, the trial was designed for 12 years, 950 patients. It was stopped at 631 patients because the confidence interval was not reached. So successful MS, that is the minimal invasive surgery in endometrial and colorectal surgeons, have clearly shown the role of laparoscopy. While it is related to surgical proficiency, the short-term follow-up led to very disturbing things. So excessive death, the hazard ratio was poor, and the loco-regional failure was very, very good, and more in this case. The most important question was of surgical proficiency. Can you compare a surgeon from Cochin to a surgeon in Delhi? Can you compare the same techniques? And if these techniques are same, who is analyzing them? So the author is the same, the judge is the same, and the examiner and the examinee is the same. How can you have the same result? So any trial in the world, you can take colorectal cancer, you can take gallbladder. Gallbladder has never undergone an RCT. Still we say that the gold standard today for laparoscopy is the laparoscopic cholecystectomy. So competence is something which you cannot compare, and it is incompetence and incompetence coming from the centers of low volume, which has led to a bad analysis. The parametrial measurement was not done in the trial, and which was the most important thing, and minimally invasive versus abdominal hysterectomy, proving that now from 2018 till 2026, we are now 8 years, and there is a stop to using minimally invasive surgery. Now, what is the scenario today? When the trial isn't powered to perfect a difference, conclusions were drawn first. an article was written later. So if you look at the people from MD Anderson, the amount of cases that they do, even at a cancer center, are 10 per year. So they were very, very upset that the Asians and the Africans were doing better surgery. So conclusions were drawn first, and later on the article was written. This was the Journal of Clinical Oncology. While endometrial cancer, laparoscopy was good. For cancer cervix, it was not good. So this is the entire area. And then you cannot just criticize it with words. You are in a scientific world, you have a level 1 evidence, you need to criticize it with evidence. So anatomy remained the gold standard. Before the LAC trial, if you see multiples of paper in favor of minimally invasive surgery, multiples of paper from worldwide showing laparoscopy is very good. Evidence-based publications were there in favor of MIS, and laparoscopic radical hysterectomy from every center showed a better result, though it was not this. And the NCCN guidelines in 2017 and 2018 said that early cases, that is up to stage 1B2, you can do laparoscopically. So now it is a time to establish. It is not only criticizing Professor Ramirez. We need to address what are the problems. So let's go. Where is the problem? The classification was a problem. Few of the class centers classified it according to PUS. None of them used the Curley-Morrow classification, which is the standard classification for staging the cancer cervix. The Curley-Morrow classification is used with the reference to the ureter, and this is the most important classification. You can see this. And the classification changed again in 2018. For the audience who don't know, it was an Indian called Nirja Batla who changed the classification, FIGO classification of cancer cervix, and added 1B3 to this classification. So how do we start? Let's start. What was the problem? The problem was till 2002, we also didn't know how to do laparoscopy, and then we started doing laparoscopic surgery. But one thing we understood is if you do not understand anatomy, you cannot do any kind of surgery. And that is the reason we also published the same time surgical pelvic anatomy. We all considered Gray as our gold standard books, but what Gray taught us was anatomy. What we wanted to know is the surgical anatomy, and this was very important. So anatomy, and non-understanding the anatomy was the problem. What lies where? Predictive anatomy is important. Remember the landmarks. You can see this. You have to start with this. You can see the two areas, that is the obliterated hypogastric artery, simple thing, bladder lies between the two. Whenever in problem, start at the level of the sacral promontory, and let's start with our friend. So you see, this is what we started doing and teaching the people. Fat belongs to the rectum. Before that, the teaching was, it is the champagne effect. Now, how many of Indians drink champagne that they will ever understand what is champagne effect? So fat belongs to the rectum was the dictum, and this was picked up. So this is the reason that everybody understood. Similarly, fat belongs to the bladder, and this is how you should do the bladder dissection, understanding the fat and nothing else but the fat. And this is what was taught, and this is what was understood, and this led to better anatomical dissection. No anatomy, no point, no matter of trial. So the technique that we developed was Pune technique. We developed it into 6 baby steps so that nobody can actually master a radical hysterectomy in 1 or 2 cases. You do 6 baby steps, and these 6 baby steps, we published this in Journal of Minimally Invasive Surgery way back in 2008, 248 patients from the AAGL journal, where our timing was questioned, but this was a technique that we published. The first important thing, the first important problem in LAC trial, using a manipulator. Who told you to use the manipulator? You are pushing a manipulator through a disease, through a cancer. Which is the oncological principle are you following? Since 2006, I have never used manipulator. We published this as a novel technique. We use a uterine hitch because this is something, if you are an oncologist, you understand. They just didn't understand the oncology. So uterine hitch was the first important thing which was there. And then, of course, we published this. And this, I think I will not show you the entire film, but you have all seen me operating at various conferences, and you see that we do this surgery like this. This is how we do fat belongs to the rectum, the pararectal space dissection, and you can see this is how we train people. 6 baby steps remain parallel, and parallel to the tubular structure was a teaching. And you can see the entire parametrium being very, very clearly taken away. And this is what became a very, very duplicable procedure. Second thing, they just didn't understand the parametrium. We all know that cancer cervix is nothing but the treatment of the parametrium. We are all trained to know 2 parametriums, the uterosacral and of course the McEnrods. What is an anterior parametrium? So you see why there was pelvic recurrence, because the anterior parametrium, also called as infrauretral parametrium. In open surgery, when you reach the ureteric tunnel, with your thumb you just push the ureter and apply the cam. So whether you are a good surgeon or a bad surgeon, inadvertently you take the anterior parametrium. And this is how the parametrium looks like. The posterior parametrium, which is nothing but the fibro, muscular tissue, no lymphatics, the McEnrods, which is having the uterine vein, and the infrauretral parametrium, also called as the anterior parametrium. Now, when they came, if you see the videos in the LAC trial, when they came close to the vagina, they used and cut the parametrium very, very close to the vagina. And this is how it is needed. So if you want to dissect the infrauretral parametrium in laparoscopy, you have to take efforts. It doesn't come easily. You hold the cut end of the entire uterine artery and dissect the ureteric tunnel. Again, a misnomer. Ureteric tunnel is nothing but the cervico-vesical fascia, and this is the fascia that you have to have 2 veins into that. And when you cut this, then you will see the infrauretral parametrium, also called as anterior parametrium. If you don't take the anterior parametrium, naturally there will be recurrence. So this is what is radical hysterectomy, but nothing but lateralization of the ureter, which people didn't understand. And then of course the Yabuki space. A lot of people don't understand the Yabuki space. Yabuki was a Japanese surgeon who said that you should dissect the nerve from anterior side. Me and Dr. Marcello Zaccheroni showed that Yabuki space can be dissected much better from posterior. That's the space through which finally the nerve enters into the bladder, and people thought that if you preserve the nerve, then you do inadequate resection. No. So anterior parametrium remained the most important thing. Again, to show you, to dissect the anterior parametrium in laparoscopy, you need efforts to do that. In open surgery, with the thumb you just push and you take this, and this is how you take the ureteric tunnel, that is the cervico-vesical ligament, and once you cut this ligament, the ureter will get lateralized. Look at the video, the ureter gets lateralized. It is this infrauretral parametrium which is very, very critical, very important. And if you cannot understand, this is where, because the rule of the body is lymphatics follow the veins, if you don't take the lymphatics and the spread is through lymphatic permeation, there is going to be always parametrial and vaginal recurrence, which was not done in LAC trial. This is the most important thing. Again, to show you the same video, and you can see the Yabuki space with the nerve and the nerve going towards the bladder. This is what we did in 2020. 2018, the trial came, LAC trial came. We did not answer it with words. Your words don't matter, your work matters. Always with the level 1 evidence, we drew this, an anatomical description of anterior parametrium, a probable answer to pelvic recurrence. This was in Annals of Gynecology, and I won the 5th Golden Telescopic Award in 2020, 2 years after the LAC trial, that it was the understanding and non-understanding of the anterior parametrium. So always criticize it with the words. The third most important thing, all of them did a colpotomy without protecting the vagina. Now, is it ever done? Do we ever do a colpotomy without opening this? Naturally, the tumor cells are going to be subjected to the entire carbon dioxide and they are going to spread. Who told you to do a colpotomy without securing the colpus? We have been doing this from the days that we are doing radical hysterectomy. We have been using the Schautas technique. We close the vagina using a purse string suture, and this is how you do it before you do a colpotomy, so that when you do a colpotomy, the cancer cells don't spill. Simple things, but none of the Indian centers were included. And now we are told by the Westerners the disease is not there, 1% incidence of cancer cervix, and the world is blindly following them, not understanding this. Now, if you cannot do this, then you can use the stapler. We used the stapler way back in 2007, indicating that if you use a stapler to do a colpotomy, then there is always the cells which are not exposed to the peritoneum. And this is how you can do, this is how the parametrectomy should look. This is the parametrium that you have to have. And of course, if you're not used to this kind of thing, you can always do a Schautas procedure. So you close the vaginal cuff vaginally before you go for laparoscopy. All of you are great vaginal surgeons, so you can do a vaginal entire area 2 centimeters below from there, and from then, once you do this, you take a suture from below, you can see you can take a purse string suture, and when you go on the top, you can see when you go on the top, it is already secure. This we have been doing for last 20 years. And this is what they failed. So this is the Schautas modification, and this was a technique that we showed. Complete parametrectomy was very, very important. Not only that, we also proved that doing a nerve-sparing radical hysterectomy does not compromise with the margins, preservation of the autonomic nerves. These are all our publication. And we gave an anatomical way of preserving the nerves. How do you do anatomical? Not everybody of you can see the nerve. So look at the uterine vein. The vein always comes from below the ureter. Take the uterine vein, medial to the ureter, the nerve will automatically get preserved. This was our message to the world, and now this is followed worldwide. Just look at the vein, see the vein, take the vein medial to the ureter, the nerve will automatically get completely compromised. So this, we also did robotic radical hysterectomy at the same time, because the LAC trial proved that robotic surgery is allowed, but laparoscopic surgery is not allowed. Of course, after the LAC trial, we had continued to do the laparoscopic trachelectomy. Trachelectomy never stopped after the LAC trial for stage 1A1 and 1A2. We still did this, and this is laparoscopic trachelectomy, which we could always do and do this. And we also published laparoscopic nerve-sparing radical trachelectomy. And for advanced cancers of the cervix, this kind of surgery is continued, laparoscopic anterior exentration, and of course laparoscopic, I will not show you all the videos, but of course the laparoscopic posterior exentration. So all this we continued even after the LAC trial, because for advanced cancer, the minimal invasive surgery still remained the top class area. But we didn't stop at this. Laparoscopic pelvic exentration for advanced cancers, you can see, and in the Journal of Minimally Invasive Surgery, 84 patients over a period of 20 years, with a 3.5 years of 5-year survival with 50% and 5-year survival of 35%. Not bad for advanced cancer. This remains the largest series ever published in the world. We continued with all the types of exentration, which was laparoscopic anterior, posterior, and even total pelvic exentration. So minimal invasive surgery continued to have a role after the LAC trial in the situations that we have already proven. And we also found out what is the cause for this. Of course, robotics still remained the thing. We also published initial experience of robotic anterior pelvic. The first robotic anterior pelvic exentration of the world was performed by us, and now we have got largest series of anterior exentration and stretching the limits of gynae oncology with total pelvic exentration. And then suddenly Ramirez had a dream. We are all wrong. We are not doing radical hysterectomy. We should not be doing. So look at the paper coming in 2020. He says, management of low risk initial cancers, just do a conization, and that is the end of the story. And then came the SHAPE trial. Now, do you know what is the SHAPE trial? SHAPE trial says for radical hysterectomies for cancer cervix up to stage 1B1, you just take a biopsy, see the stromal invasion. If the stromal invasion is less than 50%, plain hysterectomy is enough. If the stromal invasion is more than 50%, only then you require a radical hysterectomy. So where are we coming to? From radical hysterectomy to Wertheim's to taking out parametrium. Now the SHAPE trial, which is again a level 1 evidence, now published in 2022, clearly shows that for up to the 1B1, if you do a stromal invasion less than 50%, just hysterectomy is initial. LAC2 trial included 1B2. Who told you to include 1B2? Nobody operates on 1B2. Only up to 1B1 we are supposed to operate. So this is the problem. The SHAPE trial has gone back. Simple hysterectomy, no radical hysterectomy. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand the message as a gynecologist? You don't need a gynecologist. You just need yourself to do a hysterectomy and understand what is the situation today. You are all being feared by the gyne-oncologist. Though I am a gyne-oncologist, understand the science. You just need a hysterectomy. And now this is a LAC trial. You can't redo a trial because it is a level 1 evidence. So now there is a RAC trial, that is a robotic surgery. Can you ever understand the interim results of which are already out? Robotic surgery has shown to be far superior to open surgery. Do you understand that robotic and laparoscopy is not different? It is the same thing, only the tool is different. But look at the way the science is being produced in front of your eyes. The RAT trial is showing better levels because we cannot repeat the LAC trial because it is a level 1 evidence. We are now repeating with robotic surgery. Our institute was one a part of it, and robotic is showing better results than open surgery. Unbelievable. Same vision, same kind of anatomy. How can you have different results? So the trial closure is expected in 2027, but interim results are clearly showing that RAC trial is better. Lymph node dissection has changed over a period of years from totally doing lymphadenectomy like this. This was a lymphadenectomy that we did, to now in using only the ICG. We are using for up to 1B1. We are also using this, and we all know how it looks like. So this is how the sentinel nodes are there. This is a sentinel node which is gold standard in endometrial cancer, but this is also now becoming a standard for early cervical cancers, and you can pick this up and send for IHC. This is the overlay mode that you get. We all know instead of 2 quadrants in endometrial cancer, we put it in 4 quadrants for cervical cancer, and then the sentinel node is picked up. You can see the nodes which are there, which are green in color, and of course you can see an even para-aortic dissection for 1B1 and 1B2 can be done with ICG. This is the para-aortic node dissection. So paradigms have changed, things have changed, and you can see ultra staging is mandatory. Please do not do frozen section on sentinel node. They have to be sent for IHC. It is a stupidity to do a frozen section. Send it for IHC. It is a bread and butter technique. If you see this, then only you go for. So endometrial cancer with IHC has increased the survival to 98% as against 75% 2010 after the Abu Rustum published this article. So again, just to show you that our series still remains the largest series published in the world. Now 910 patients of radical hysterectomy. Look at the histopathology, but look at the pelvic recurrences and the vault recurrences. 910 patients, just 4 pelvic recurrences and just 5 vaginal recurrences, because we followed the entire thing. Unfortunately, this is not a level 1 evidence. This is a single center. So our results still are inferior to LAC trial. And then we, of course, as Dr. Paul told you, we published the first ureteroneocystostomy of the world when we had complication of the ureter. We did this in way back in 2006. And then what are the other cancers you can do? You can do para-aortic dissections. This is the para-aortic lymph node dissection. You can still continue to do this till you get the RAC trial. You can see this is the para-aortic nodal dissection you can do. And of course you can do extraperitoneal also. We have multiple ways of doing this. This is the para-aortic extraperitoneal dissection. All this can be done with the area that you can do. So indications, these are the indications in cancer cervix. You can do it just as a staging procedure, also as a therapeutic procedure. And this is a role of lymphadenectomy in endometrial cancer. Multiple supporting articles. The CEPAL study shows that para-aortic dissection still remains one of the standard, not only in endometrial cancers with more than 50% invasion, and in cancer cervix with the recurrence. And laparoscopy is very, very safe. This is very important for you to understand. We can still do it for cancer ovary, which is with the post-neoadjuvant trial. We are now published 128 patients after 3 cycles of chemotherapy, just doing the same procedure laparoscopically. So minimally invasive surgery in cancer ovary is coming up in a very, very big way. This is the surgery. This was the original thing. And after neoadjuvant treatment, complete disappearance of all the nodules, and you can do a plain hysterectomy and this. So when you look at the patient, where is the patient looking? Most beautiful girl may be in open surgery, but still looking at laparoscopy. She's better looking, better one, give you better results. And of course, Open surgery, unfortunately, has not been relegated to the books of history, as you see cycle and Nokia phones and all that taxi. But time has come that open surgery will become a history. Except for cesarean section, I don't think there is anything that we cannot do laparoscopically. So take home message, good outcomes come from understanding the anatomy, and poor outcomes are the greatest results of not understanding it. And LAC trial was not only understanding not the anatomy, but not understanding the oncological principles. You guys, we all sit in Asia and feel America is great. It is not great. They have no evidence-based medicine. They are very good with the statistics, but never criticize anybody's work with your words. You need to work. We worked hard to prove that colpotomy was bad, proved that parametrium was bad, taking a manipulator was bad, and now all these things are not right. So not force. If anybody has seen Manjumal Boys, this is precision, planning, execution. That is what matters. It's anatomy, anatomy, and nothing else but anatomy. This is important. And then don't limit it to yourself. It's the Gurukul Parampara. Since 2003, I've trained more than 1,500 surgeons. Everything that should be like America's McDonald's burgers, same size, same taste worldwide. Make your technique duplicable. Don't say the technique will die when I die. Nobody will remember you. Make a technique duplicable, make it replicable, and this is most important. So you have got to get it right. And when you want to get it right, keep going, keep believing that what you are doing, we kept on believing that we were doing the right things. We didn't get bogged down by the things which came from LAC trial. And I was the first to debate him openly in Switzerland in 2019. You can see this video on YouTube. Ramirez versus me, 1,200 people watching this. And I won the debate after, in spite of a level 1 evidence showing what was wrong. People still believe in minimal invasive surgery 5 months after the trial was published. So keep running, Johnny Walker technique. The excellence in surgery is where the precision meets compassion. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Jay Krishnan sir. Thank you very much for inviting me this. Pelvis hides nothing if we don't look at it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shailesh, for that inspiring session. May I please request chairperson to please hand over the memento to Dr. Shailesh. For a group picture.